Funny thing, when I watched the premiere for Alien Earth, I failed to notice that it was a 2 episode premiere, and so I only did a review of half of what was available. So let's talk about the second episode. Here's the funny thing. I'm actually kind of glad that I made this mistake because I actually do feel like these episodes deserve to be talked about as their own things because the previous and I do understand why they dropped two at a go with this. Like me knowing Noah Hawley's work in TV, the first one was about what I expected, but I think if that had been the only thing to premiere, I think other people might have been a little bit more concerned because that one was set up. This one gives you a taste a bit more of the action and the tension and the horror aspect of it. Not to say that there wasn't some of that in the previous episode, but it gets a much stronger highlight here. So I understand why they paired these. And yeah, because a lot of expositional stuff was done in the previous episode, which I talked about in that review, this basically can just hit the ground running. And it very much does. It's interesting to me, though, how little time in narrative, in universe, has passed over the course of 2 episodes. It makes me curious as to how much total time this whole thing's going to cover, which might be its way of fitting within the overall continuity. Because if this basically happens over the course of, I don't know, 2 days, and it ends with them being able to like get rid of everything that was on that ship, then yeah, actually that could fit. Where it might not is, if stuff escapes and it takes them a while to track it down or it spreads a lot. And obviously that's the threat and that's the stakes, but I said I wasn't going to focus on the continuity. I don't know. I had the thought anyway, just because it spawned off of how little time had passed. What was interesting about this is it really started to make me realize how well they are selling these characters, at least to me, because I found myself a lot more invested in these characters than I had expected to be at this point. Like, I got a little choked up over a reference to frickin' Ice Age as the connection between Wendy and Hermit. I'm not going to go over the plot. It's so spoiler warning. I'm just going to talk about it openly. Like using it as a point of connection, that did choke me up a bit. And I was legit worried for Hermit. Like I tensed up. He never felt like fodder to me, nor did he feel like the standard sacrificial lamb. Like here's the character who we're gonna, seems like a nice person, but we're gonna kill him. Like I wanted him to live. So, when he's on, when he's in that hallway, in that stairwell, and he's trying to figure out how to make this jump, and the drool just hits him. I was just like, oh no. So like the fact that was my reaction means stuff's working, but it's not just for the characters that I'm like rooting for or scared for, because I had a very similar reaction when Morrow showed up and like jolts and knocks out the xenomorph, and then like turns to Hermit, because initially like he's in the door and I couldn't quite tell who he was because I was kind of focused on what he was doing, and I thought for a minute it might have been one of the, I guess I'll just call them the Lost Boys, one of the hybrids that was sent to help with search and rescue. But then it got in a little closer and I realized who it was. I was like, oh no. And the fact that I had that strong a reaction to him also means that they are selling him really well, despite him being just a very cold character who does not really let you into his inner world at all. They're making that work for the way he's being used. This also, like, this gives me a little bit taste of what I like about Noah Hawley's work, that he's not afraid to be darkly funny. Like this party of these rich jackasses all done up like they're French aristocrats, and they don't want to evacuate because they haven't got a personal call from the boy genius. Oh, let's talk about him for a minute. the more we're seeing about him, the more I'm liking him. Like, I wasn't quite sure what to make of him last episode because he was just kind of there. He didn't talk a heck of a lot. And he kind of had that impression that, like, he might be, kind of genuinely invested in what it is he's doing. And I'm not saying he isn't invested, but all right, let me put it this way. It was beautiful to me that he had the audacity and the lack of self-awareness to claim that his desire to make this hybrid thing work had nothing to do with ego, and then proceed to say, I just want to be able to talk to somebody as smart as me. Not about ego. Oh, you are so unaware. You are so lacking in self-awareness. It's perfect. It's great. Because the thing is, this guy may very well be very smart, but I guarantee you, he talks to people smarter than him on a regular basis, but he refuses to recognize them as such. Like, this is so telling that he thinks the only way he could ever encounter anybody smarter than him is to do all this nonsense. This is the kind of guy who could have a literal conversation with God and come away going, God's not that great. Like, that's just who he is. And for a trillionaire in universe, but a proxy for our tech billionaire jackasses that we have and are dealing with, yeah, that works pretty well. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on him. I like the way that they're panning out with him so far. The gore is well deployed. Like, gore is tricky. Like, you can overdo it, and like, I can appreciate especially good prosthetic effects, but I'm not a gore hound. It's not enough in and of itself, and I like how judicious they are between, the occasional gnarly close up of something like the face of the guy who got the inner mouth hit, and something like the massacre of these party people, where we see the aftermath, sure, but like, that could have been something that the camera just lingered on forever and be like, oh, look at all this. And I wouldn't have cared for that because it felt unnecessary. Just giving us the occasional, very specific, direct jolt of gore. It feels like it's being done more judiciously, which I always appreciate. I'm also really fascinated by how they are handling the Lost Boy characters aside from Wendy, because I mean, not that I'm not fascinated with Wendy. I do like Wendy, but she, like, the rest of them I kind of lump with what I'm going to say, whereas she's kind of her own thing. And I like that while they do establish that they've got, like, supercomputer brains. So, like, yes, they took a child's mind and put it into this body, but, like, there's also this heightened processing power. The fact that they don't have the standard biological needs anymore, and all these other things that, mean that to say that they are children in an adult body isn't fully accurate. It's a bit of an oversimplification, but it still does small things to remind you that these are children. And more importantly, they're not all behaving exactly the same. The way you get little reminders of their childishness is a little bit different for each of them. And I'm not going to go so far as to say these are really well-written children characters, because they're not really being written as children straight up, which I actually think is better. Because I think if they were trying to really play up the idea that these are just kids, it would grate on me real quick. So I like the idea that they're kind of putting up front, like, that's not exactly what they are, but you're going to still see those hints of childishness, those moments of, them missing basic things about existence, or they get scared because they see a monster. And like, I found myself thinking as they were being led into this crash ship, I'm like, they are going to be traumatized to hell. That is what's going to happen right now. Yeah, and pretty much. Yeah, I like this is just a more action-oriented, action-heavy, but it managed to keep me locked in on those characters. I was kind of pleasantly surprised how quickly they dealt with Hermit, finding out that Wendy is Marcy, is his sister. I expected them to string that out for longer, and I probably would have not super loved that, because drawing out, this sort of liar reveal plot line when there's really only one way it's ever going to end, it can be a slog. But no, they crossed that bridge a lot sooner than I expected, and in such a tense situation that he kind of has to accept it, but he also doesn't really have time to process it either. And again, he's playing that very well. Like, dude's having a bad day. He's dealing with so much. And yeah, the balance of elements is really working for me with this. And I will be curious to see where it goes from here. My expectations kind of largely hinge on the answer to that question I asked at the front end. How much time is this entire season going to cover? Hours, days, weeks? My expectations would fully shift depending on what the answer to that question is, but I don't know the answer, so I have to just see what we get. I'm liking this so far, though. Alien Earth, Episode 2, the other half of the premiere. Again, I'm actually kind of happy I made that mistake. But whatever your thoughts are on this, drop them down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. Those all help. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lutfula, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Tracy Scrabbit, Pal Barabajoggle, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. Don't worry, the rats are all fine, but my rat wrangler is not here right now, and I thought we could have Archie say hi. Or not.